Something unique happened during our first time in the depths. Someone invaded us. As we fought to deal with a gang of rats, a message flashed on screen. Dark Spirit Knight Kirk has invaded. This was it. Our first invasion was here. Our enemy appeared out of nowhere, rolling into us like a tumbleweed of hate. One stagger, and it was all over. We tried our best, but quickly got wrecked by this thorn-wearing, roll-spamming, bleed-dealing killer, and the rats. Classic online gameplay, we thought. A PvP pro preying on innocent casuals. We became human again, and going back down, he was there again, always waiting till we were weak and when the rats had surrounded us. This guy. Weren't there other people to invade? After countless fights, we finally cut down the thorn in our side. We were so proud. The bully was defeated. We walked on with unshakable confidence, only to die to the gaping dragon a minute later. Back at the bonfire, it dawned on us. We hadn't plugged in a network cable. Kirk wasn't online. He was in the game. We really thought this thorny bastard had to be an actual human. I mean, teaming up with rats was pure evil. Kirk lives in the game of Dark Souls 1, yet his story shows he is very, very human. His story is a long one that goes all the way to Dark Souls 3, and we will look at all of it. So stay tuned, because Kirk may be more complex than we thought. Kirk gets more hate than any real PvPer. People call him Kirk the Jerk, Prick, and even Pinhead. He is infamous in the Souls community. All those players who hope to face the boss at the end of a long quest, only for Kirk to skewer them on his thorny sword. If you live through this, you will never forgive him. And he doesn't stop at one invasion, like all the other invaders. He invades us 3 times. He is very persistent. This persistence is why many more hate him. They feel his motivations are disappointing. But Kirk hate goes even further. He even gets meta-hate. Completionists and collectors were angry that From Software made Kirk's armor so hard to obtain. For one player, invasion is the last thing they want, and another is hoping for a jewel more than anything. The first player will be ambushed by Kirk, get killed, and rage. The second will stroll casually to the gaping dragon with their character hollow and miss him entirely. They will rage later, when they don't get his equipment at the end of the game. That's Kirkish delight for you, sweet with some tang. His weapon and shield drop at only 33%, so it's recommended to use the covetous gold serpent ring. But for the armor, luck doesn't come into it. Making the player have to kill Kirk for each of his invasions before killing the area boss to unlock his armor is a hard challenge, and made even harder by the fact that he's so damn missable even when we're in human form. It's still a touchy subject to this day. Many feel the hoops we have to jump through to get Kirk set is one of the most frustrating design choices of the game. And yet, people love him. There is literally a Kirk fan club. Gangs of cosplaying Kirks meet online to thorn-roll poor invaders to death, and it's a great club. Kirk's armor is loved by all, collectors and Fashion Souls aficionados alike. There is even debate over whether it's the best looking set in game. And Kirk's set is form married with function. The Function Souls obsessives are still discovering what Kirk's set is capable of, and these secrets are used by challenge runners to this day, getting a ton of views. His equipment is even loved by the creators of Dark Souls. Miyazaki brings up Kirk again and again, and Kirk's set features heavily in the trailer. It looks like Kirk himself is locked up in the asylum, fights Seath, finds Artorias' greatsword, and travels New Londo, as though the trailer framed Kirk himself as the chosen undead. If the Elite Knight set hadn't existed to become the iconic Dark Souls set, it might have been Kirk's. But the main reason he is so popular is because this evil invader has another side that makes him so interesting that the community has obsessed about him for years. Lore creators speculate, fans write fan fictions about him, and we even have a short comic about Kirk. So why is he so many people's favourite character? Let's get to know Kirk. If you felt Kirk was evil, in-game his descriptions confirm it. He is explicitly called murderous. That's the word appearing before his name most. You don't get described as murderous above all else without earning it. There's other things to notice in his item descriptions. His famous sword, the barbed straight sword, reveals a great deal. A subtle point here is that he has a favourite weapon, so it means he has a bunch of different weapons he enjoys cutting down innocents with. But there is an important detail about Kirk's past in this description. If we use it, we can look into Kirk's history and understand where he once channeled his violent energy. Kirk was a Darkwraith. Darkwraiths hunt and kill their fellow humans, sapping their humanity in almost a kiss of death. Darkwraiths are in service of Kaathe, and of course themselves. They are all murderous, and they are all hated. But Kirk is special. He isn't just any Darkwraith. Kirk is notorious. That Kirk was so much more violent than other nameless Darkwraiths that he became infamous for it is almost funny if it wasn't so horrific. But meeting him in person isn't funny. From afar, masked in a red glow, he does look a little like a Darkwraith. The dark armour, the similar proportions. But as he comes closer, you might wish he was a normal Darkwraith. Death at the hands of a Darkwraith would come from a decisive blow, perhaps a brutal slash from the collarbone to the opposite hip. Quick, painless. The sadistic Kirk prefers to use a much slower, more painful method. His thorns. He rolls into us to start the duel, a dishonourable surprise tactic. Rolls should be harmless, so we are caught off guard. As his thorns bury into our shins, we realise Kirk is an invader to the core. Honour means nothing to him. A slice from his blade catches us, and now we are off balance. We start to bleed. Kirk attacked us when we had our hands busy, facing multiple threats. We are finally overwhelmed. We die, and Kirk departs with our humanity, returning to his world with the red-eye orb, just like a Darkwraith. But Kirk's uniqueness continued to surprise us. Not only does he appear far from any other Darkwraith, but he appears again in totally unique places. He fights dishonourably again, a pattern. He invades us when we are already fighting others, a pattern. And he invades us deeper and deeper in the world, another pattern. The Darkwraiths are familiar with the depths, living deep below Firelink Shrine and at the deepest point of a sunken city. But as Kirk goes deeper in his invasions, the locations are bright and full of fire. Kirk can invade us in any order, but it is along a route. He defends a path to the boss on the way to Blighttown, he defends a path to enter the city of Izalith, and he defends the entrance to the Witch of Izalith herself. The last location is the most peculiar. How many humanity-bearing adventurers will pass here? Very, very few. A free Darkwraith would hardly choose here as a hunting ground. Do all these connections link in a path that go from the Undead Burg down to the seat of chaos in Izalith? Or is this our imagination? And what about his persistence? A hunter of humanity would look for easier prey than the chosen undead. We are powerful and risky. He also doesn't hunt elsewhere. He will never stop invading us until we give up or he dies. Why would a Darkwraith do this? When we finally kill him in one location, he still doesn't give up. Other invaders do. They seem to go hollow and die in their own world after we defeat them. Was death in ours too much for their minds or souls to take? But Captain Kirk is different. His will is so strong he invades us 3 times. Death at our hands doesn't make him quit. Is this the behaviour of a Darkwraith, only hunting humanity? But finally, something does break Kirk's will. After killing him for the 3rd time, we can find his corpse, hunched over, tucked against a wall, in an ancient room that houses the Fair Lady. The route that seemed to connect Kirk was real. He is connected to the demons and the Fair Lady. You all know the theory. Kirk has stumbled upon the Fair Lady, and after meeting this beautiful soul, has decided to use his sword to bring her humanity, to keep her alive as long as he is able. After all, Miyazaki confirms that Kirk was bringing the Fair Lady humanity. From the Shotoku interview, Isomura: "What's up with the NPCs that attack you when you're human? Why do they fight you?" Miyazaki: "You mean the Red Invaders?" Murahashi: "Yes." Miyazaki: Well, for various reasons, but generally, they're treated like another player. For example, the red invader who invades the player a couple of times, with the thorns. Kirk is a member of the Chaos Servants, and he's trying to rob humanity for her. If you kill him for the last time, his corpse will appear near the eggs, and you can loot it. Murahashi. The armor. Miyazaki. Yes, that's the reason of why he's dead there. This is why Kirk is so popular. He's an anti-hero who has been won over by the power of love. Do we sound blasé? Well, what if Kirk's story went deeper? Kirk has maybe the best fashion souls in game, and he is replete with humanity. Any Firekeeper would agree they find him eligible, and Kirk would have known it. So why would a Spider Woman have such an impact on him? She is beautiful, mostly, but so are the leaders of many other factions. Many in the community call Kirk a four-letter word beginning with S. He was a Darkwraith who now brings humanity to a beautiful Spider Woman, or his waifu. Would she give him something in return, even if she could? The accusation isn't helped by what we find in Dark Souls 3. We will examine this sequel in more depth in a moment, but in Dark Souls 3 there is another Kirk, perhaps the same one, now called Longfinger Kirk. This man loyally helps someone, and it is not only another woman, but another beautiful, half-insectoid woman. So, is this just Kirk's thing? He turned from violence not because he became a better person, but because of an impulse. Let's return to Dark Souls 1 to examine this idea. It is clear that the fair lady is charming, and potentially very intelligent. She charms us when we meet her. She is so helpless, so delicate, so beautiful. To most, killing her is the most monstrous thing a Dark Souls player can commit. It makes sense that if the entire Dark Souls community was won over by her charms, Kirk was too. And look beside her and outside her lair. There are egg bearers. These men willingly carry her offspring, even though these offspring aren't their own, and even though they happen to be demon parasites that grow and consume human flesh. And what about us? Many of us brought her humanity, killing our fellows for the sake of a demon. And no, wanting to save Solaire is not an excuse. In fact, we have been so charmed that we have never heard anyone voice the possibility that she's faking it. This woman has a troupe devoted to her, praising her as they slowly die for her. She made Kirk give up his Darkwraithing life for her. Does she seem like a fool? What if all her beautiful, tragic dialogue, achieved once we find the old witch's ring, all her laments to her dear sister, was an act? Just the right thing to say to invoke pity, to make a chosen undead move along and let her be. What defense could she give? What reasoning could she use? How would the chosen undead understand the plight of demons, the one who had just killed her sister? The best choice would be to be totally helpless, weak, blind and confused, mistaking her sister's murderer for the murdered sister. We have no choice but to show mercy. It's an interesting thought. Do you typically say the name of someone you know well every time you talk to them? So she survives, whether by luck or by trickery, we will never know. Whether by design or accident, the Spider-Woman succeeds in persuading us to deliver humanity to her and to make other men bear her eggs. If she is capable of this, then surely she could persuade the murderous Kirk to deliver her a little humanity. But we don't believe Kirk is irrationally devoted to the fair lady. He may have a thing for half woman, half creepy crawly, but we think his motivation extends beyond this. We believe that Kirk was won over by the fair lady at first, but that it led to much more. He may have been attracted to her, yes, but this was unimportant compared to everything else. Ingi. We believe that Kirk met the fair lady after the fair lady had met Ingi. Kirk found a woman, the daughter of a primeval lord, who had saved a man dying of poison, a man who was the shame of his homeland, who had poisoned the land where he lived, destroyed countless lives, and poisoned himself in the process, a worthless, outcast pyromancer who would soon die. And what did she do? She healed him by sucking the blight pus out of him and into herself. She would die in his place, for no reason. Kirk was a man who spent a life hurting, even killing others, for one reason, his own benefit. But the fair lady, demon royalty, powerful as Quelaag, with an unlimited life before her, decided to sacrifice herself for someone totally unworthy of it. She did this freely. Kirk's opposite. That is what the fair lady was to him. Kirk could carry out his evil because he believed others were no better than him. They still followed their own interests. If their interests changed, they would do the same thing again. Many carried out more evil than Kirk for their own selfish gain, but decided to hide it. Kirk didn't have that problem. But the fair lady broke this rule. Like the ideal of a spiritual leader, their kindness defeated reason. Total self-sacrifice. And so, Kirk loved her in a way he had never loved anyone. A love of spirit. As if to show the purity of her soul, she lacks the dark humanity she needs to survive. As though it could be that it's not poison killing her, but the lack of dark in her soul, the selfish dark required to survive in a cruel world. Kirk has boundaries. He doesn't have spider eggs growing on his back, and is free to do his best for demons how he wishes. And after he dies, his corpse is kept in the fair lady's room. We don't see an egg bearer's corpse given the same honour. But this early commitment was just the beginning. Kirk has learnt about demon culture. He has proven himself enough to gain the highest tier in the Covenant. He understands the fuel of humanity from his time as a Darkwraith and Lordran's abusive monopoly over it. He has entered the depths of Izalith, even invading us at its deepest, most sacred point. Kirk has gone far further than just being drawn to the fair lady. Over a long period of time, he has learnt the culture of the demons and respects it. Consider this. Do any egg bearers defend the city down below, or the witch mother of demons? Their actions are limited to praying and self-defense. Ingi is defined by the fair lady and nothing else. But what happens with Kirk if we kill the fair lady? He never gives up. He still invades us. He still defends the Witch of Izalith with his life. The Lord of Chaos and Mother of all demons is essential to the city of Izalith. A mere lover or desperate admirer would not continue like this after who he idolised had been killed. Kirk isn't mindless, not a servant of chaos, but a companion. Before we examine Kirk's place as an active participant compared to a mere romantic, we need to look at Longfinger Kirk from Dark Souls 3. But first, something even more important. Kirk and Fashion Souls. God, Kirk's set is beautiful. This shot in the trailer was probably a quarter of why we got the game, though more than half of why we got the game was the incredible music track by the Silent Comedy. Being in the asylum here makes it look like an armour that doubles as a torture device, a Man in the Iron Mask style story. Dark Souls always surprises, and once you buy the game, you learn the armour was in fact for torturing other players online. But much more than in PvP, it wins by its looks. The gauntlets are so damn flexible with any outfit. The helmet looks badass. The shoulders, hot damn the shoulders. Fashion Souls aficionados may still not know everything about the unique look of Kirk's armour. There are many inspirations for this armour's styling. One we know about as it was Miyazaki himself who told us. Here is the conversation between From Software legends during the Designworks interview. Satake. As far as equipment goes, the Thorn armour. I remember it didn't start well at all. Miyazaki. I was quite rude about the first design that reached me. I apologise. Originally, I asked for something like Hydra from Saint Seiya. I like the poignancy of that character, to have gone through such harsh training to earn his holy armour, and after all that, his special ability amounts to nothing more than some claws attached to his hands. You would be pretty crestfallen, wouldn't you? We talked like that a lot, but our images for the armour didn't match, so we spent a long time working on it. Satake. My first design was a huge guy covered in spikes, but that wasn't what you wanted at all, was it? Miyazaki. The design only began to take shape when we started talking about the trial of the 77 rings from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. In the first part of the manga, there are two characters called Tarkus and Bruford, who, in order to earn their knighthood, had to overcome the trial of the 77 rings. Each combatant wears a metal ring, and the winner takes the losers, adding to his own. They have to defeat 77 opponents, but with each victory, the number of rings they are forced to carry increases. It's a really cool idea, so we started talking about what it would be like to attach thorns to those rings. The final design was slightly different, but that's where it really started coming together. Another inspiration is so cool, but we don't know for sure if Miyazaki was inspired by it. It is Siberian bear hunting armor. There is a lot of debate over whether this armor is real. Our thinking is that it's not. After all, the trouble of putting it on only to bear a similar risk to your life even if you do wear it means it wouldn't have been effective for bear hunting, or honourable. It seems that it could just be a piece of art. It can be found at the Menil Collection Museum in Houston, Texas. The museum is a collection of artifacts and the private art of the de Menil family. This bear hunting armour is an exhibit called Witnesses to a Surrealist Vision, and the famous image was a great advert. And the next piece of inspiration is from a book the young Miyazaki may well have read. Tucked under his little blanket, with a pocket flashlight, well after his bedtime. Yes indeed, little babyface Miyazaki may well have read this book. It is called The Mysteries of the Unknown, and in it there is one story about John Lambton and the Lambton Worm, a dragon-like worm that John had to slay. It's an interesting story, go check it out, but in the end, to counter this enormous worm, he donned an armour covered in spikes. Credit to Sinclair Law for the potential inspirations, what a cool find. But enough about fashion souls, let's get serious. What about the function souls of Kirk's set? PvPers, collectors, and challenge runners, listen up. For DS1 and DS3, we will lay down the secrets of Kirk's armour, weapons, and shield. We will lay to rest the rumours about it, and also give the details of how to get it. Everything in one place. First, you must be human and be invaded by Kirk before killing the boss in each of his areas. The Depths, Demon Ruins, and Lost Islith, before killing the Gaping Dragon, the Fire Sage Demon, and the Witch of Islith. For the Demon Ruins, you must have placed the Lord Vessel. Kill him all 3 times, and you can get his armour found in the room of the Fair Lady against a wall down a small corridor. The rolling. The rolling. But do you know everything about the roll? The roll is very useful against low or zero poise enemies. It can be tough to deal with hordes of basilisks and their curse attacks, but with Kirk's armour you aren't limited to the narrow attacks of many weapons. The Kirk roll can stagger many of these lizards at once, letting you run by. This works on a bunch of enemies in game. You can also use the flip ring to increase your roll frames while wearing Kirk's armour. Also, the damage you do increases the more of Kirk's set you have equipped, and ends up doing decent damage. Additionally, beware of rolling when you've equipped a weapon you don't meet the stat requirements for. In both Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, your roll will bounce off and be cancelled on larger enemies, leaving you vulnerable. This applies for wearing any part of Kirk's set. Kirk's barbed straight sword. This infamous sword has some confusion around it. Who is to blame for it? From Software. The item states, this frightful sword deals only thrust attacks. This is false. It does not have any thrust attacks at all. This also means that it does not stack with the Leo ring. This was a big mistake by From Software because it means you could easily waste a whole ring slot. Not good when the Leo ring is already so confusing. Speaking of dangerous rumours, the next one is not from Software, but it sure made the rounds. Many have said that Kirk's armour protects you from mimic chests. The mimic springs its trap, and after one bite of your thorny armour, spits you out. Is this true? Does Kirk's armour save us? It is definitely possible and would be very Miyazaki, but testing is the only way to check. This is definitely a troll rumour. A moment of silence for all those innocents who have died at the hands of this rumour. What about things that sound too good to be true and actually are? All of these Function Souls insights can be used to make the game easier, or if you're a challenge runner, make the game harder. If you kick with Kirk's leggings specifically equipped, your kick does damage. If you have the gauntlets equipped and are using a fist weapon, your damage is also increased. Struggling in PvP, Kirk's set is great for breaking poise and shaking off an enemy strafing for a backstab, but it has extra hidden tricks. Is the invader hiding on ladders? This kind of invader takes ages to get rid of. Well, if you slide down onto them wearing Kirk's armor, you damage them extra, as well as punching enemies above you on the ladder for more damage, if only a little. PvE has its own challenges. One is ghosts. It is only cursed weapons able to damage ghosts, except Kirk's armor is unique once again. If you have a cursed weapon equipped, you can now damage ghosts with your Kirk roll. We will now return to Kirk's lore, just like From Software did in their sequel. Kirk makes a reappearance in Dark Souls 3. He invades once again, but now is called Longfinger Kirk. He invades deep, deep in the Cathedral of the Deep, and often falls to his death by mistake. This time he serves Rosaria, and Rosaria is in her bedchamber. Given that Kirk is serving a maiden once again, his name, Longfinger, brought along the expected jokes. These comments can be surmised as Kirk follows his gherkin. He also gifts Rosaria with tongue, just other people's. Sometimes, From Software seems to lean into things. The repeat of half-woman monster also didn't help Kirk's case. The gaming community felt that here he was again, committing violence for a woman he had a bizarre fascination for, and the repeat of this pattern slightly reframed the relationship between Kirk and the fair lady. But we must be careful. Miyazaki is known for his use of tongues. In Bloodborne there is a tonsil stone, and later in Elden Ring there was a taunter's tongue. Miyazaki often uses human anatomy to represent ideas. They often symbolize the function of the original thing. So take Longfinger for example. It's an easy thing to joke that it's hinting at Kirk's relationship with Rosaria, but looking closer, we realize that Rosaria has many fingers. This likely implies that they are the agents of her will, just as our own hands carry out our human will. Rosaria cannot move through the world as easily as her servants, so now Longfinger Kirk takes on a new meaning. Other languages can flesh it out further. In some translations, this name is translated as Middle Finger Kirk. The middle finger is for most people the longest finger of the hand. So it may mean many things, but we believe that it means Kirk is extremely central amongst Rosaria's fingers. He carries out her will in a vitally important way. Just like with the fair lady, there may be some other reasons for his devotion mixed in, but it seems that he truly believes in the cause here. After all, Rosaria is an essential aspect of life, just as demons may be in the grand scheme of things, and Kirk supports both. So Kirky Boy is consistent in more than his goddesses. He could commit violence as a solo act, but he lends support because he believes in more. In the end, like all things Dark Souls, there is subtlety. Subtlety to design, and subtlety to characters. Their desires are not so simple. Kirk may lurk around some strange and strangely consistent women, but that isn't all of Kirk. If he served Kaathe, he probably believed in the cause. If he serves Rosaria, he believes in protecting her role, however bizarre it appears. And when the fair lady dies, he still believes in the rights of demons, and continues what he sees as his duty. Whether a beautiful spider lady is alive or no, he dies to protect the queen of demon culture, the totally inhuman Izalith. Kirk isn't all evil, and he isn't all good. He works for what he believes. He's just always liked his work a bit too much.